Jessica Radcliffe had been called many things in her life: fearless, compassionate, a miracle worker with orcas. But on that cold, gray morning at the Pacific Marine Center, she was simply Jess to her co-workers and mama to the 6-ton killer whale that awaited her in the pool. No one watching her that day could have guessed they were witnessing the final chapter of a story that would haunt the ocean world forever. Before we go on, if you believe in stories that touch the heart, inspire the soul, and leave a lesson you'll never forget, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. What you're about to hear is not just about tragedy, it's about courage, love, and the unbreakable bond between a human and the most misunderstood creature of the sea. Jessica grew up in a small fishing town in Washington. Her father was a crab fisherman, and her mother worked at the local diner. They didn't have much, but every evening Jess would run down to the dock, her feet splashing in the tide pools, to watch the orcas pass by in the distance. While other kids saw killer whales, she saw something else entirely: beauty, intelligence, and family. She would tell her father, "One day, I'll talk to them." Her father would laugh and ruffle her hair, not knowing that promise would define her life. By her 20s, Jessica had landed her dream job as a marine mammal trainer at the Pacific Marine Center. There she met Kai, a massive, 8,000-pound orca with a scar across his dorsal fin and a past shrouded in mystery. Kai had been rescued from an illegal capture operation years before, and while he had been given safety and care, he carried deep trauma. Most trainers couldn't get close to him. He would thrash, refuse food, and stay at the far end of the pool. But Jess didn't give up. Instead of commands, she gave Kai patience. She would sit at the pool's edge for hours, her legs dangling over the water, speaking softly to him about her day as if he could understand every word. Slowly, he began to approach her. The first time his great head broke the surface and he let out a low, rumbling whistle in her direction, the other trainers couldn't believe it. Jess simply smiled and whispered, "I told you I talked to them, Dad." Over the years, Kai and Jess became inseparable. Their bond was something out of a movie. Tourists would gasp when they saw the way Kai would follow her every movement, sometimes mimicking her hand gestures even before she gave a signal. Children adored her, other trainers admired her. But behind the smiles, Jess knew something about Kai most didn't. He had an unpredictable side. Loud noises, sudden movements, or the sight of certain objects could send him into panic. She always made sure to keep him calm, to give him the respect he deserved. Then came the day of the annual Ocean Stars show, a massive event where the center showcased their most impressive performances. Jess was nervous. It wasn't just the size of the crowd, but a new routine had been approved by management without her full consent. The plan was for her to dive into the pool with Kai during a high-energy sequence, surrounded by loud music and cheering. She'd expressed her concerns, but the higher-ups insisted. "The audience will love it, Jess. Kai trusts you, it'll be fine." That morning, she fed Kai his usual breakfast of herring and mackerel, leaning in to press her forehead against his, a ritual they'd done for years. "We've got this, buddy," she whispered, but in her gut, she felt unease. The stadium was packed. The air vibrated with anticipation. Jess stepped onto the platform in her wetsuit, waving to the crowd. Kai swam below, his black and white form cutting through the turquoise water like a shadow. The music began, loud and thundering, and Jess dove in. The audience roared. Kai circled her once, twice, before rising under her to lift her high out of the water, a moment of pure magic. Cameras flashed, kids cheered. But then, something happened. From the corner of her eye, Jess saw a crew member drop a long, brightly colored rope into the water, a piece of equipment meant for the next act. To anyone else, it was nothing. But to Kai, it was a reminder of the capture nets from his past. His body stiffened, his movements changed. Jess felt the shift instantly. She tried to calm him, her voice low, her hand steady, but the booming music and crowd noise drowned her out. Kai dove suddenly, pulling Jess under with him. The crowd thought it was part of the act. She tapped his side gently, the signal to release, but his panic had taken over. His massive weight kept her submerged as he spun erratically. The water churned, turning frothy. Trainers on the platform shouted for emergency protocols, but seconds underwater felt like hours. Jess kept her eyes open, still trying to soothe him, her face calm despite the lack of air. She wasn't fighting him, she never would. she was trying to protect him from his own fear. When Kai finally surfaced, Jess was limp in his grasp. The stadium fell silent, the only sound the rush of water as other trainers dove in to pull her away. They worked frantically, but it was too late. Jessica Radcliffe, the woman who could speak to orcas, was gone. News of her death spread worldwide. Some blamed Kai, calling him dangerous. Others blamed the center for ignoring Jess's warnings. But those who truly knew her understood she wouldn't want Kai condemned. She had always believed that animals, like humans, acted from fear, not malice. Her family requested he remain at the center, under the care of those who would honor Jess's methods. Months later, during a quiet afternoon with no shows, Kai surfaced at the edge of the pool where Jess used to sit. He let out a soft, rumbling whistle, the same sound he'd made the first day he trusted her. No one could explain it. Some said it was just coincidence. Others swore he was calling for her. And maybe, in some way, she was still there, her voice carried in the waves, her patience and love etched into the memory of a creature who had once been feared, but to her, had always been family. If Jessica's story touched you today, remember this: the strongest bonds in life are built on trust, patience, and love, even when they end too soon. Cherish the connections you have, protect those who can't protect themselves, and never let fear take away your compassion. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and keep stories like Jessica's alive, because some voices, even in the silence of the deep, should never be forgotten. In the weeks that followed Jessica's funeral, the Pacific Marine Center felt like a different place. The laughter of visitors seemed quieter, the trainers walked slower, and Kai stayed near the far wall of his pool more often than not, barely eating. Some of the staff whispered about moving him to another facility, worried the public would never forgive what had happened. But those closest to Jess remembered her words: "He's not dangerous. He's scared. We owe him understanding, not punishment." Her best friend at the center, a junior trainer named Emily, took it upon herself to keep that promise. Every day after her shifts, Emily would sit in the same spot Jess used to, letting her legs hang over the water. At first, Kai wouldn't come near her. She'd talk softly anyway, telling him about the weather, the smell of the sea, or funny things that happened during the day, just as Jess had done. Days turned into weeks, and one afternoon, Kai finally swam closer, his eye breaking the surface to watch her. It was the same way he had first approached Jess years before. Meanwhile, the media attention around Jess's death began to fade, replaced by other headlines. But for those who had seen her with Kai, her legacy was something alive and unshakable. A foundation was started in her name, the Radcliffe Marine Trust, dedicated to rehabilitating and releasing captive marine mammals whenever possible, and to training facilities in humane, trauma-informed care. One day, months after her passing, a group of schoolchildren visited the center. As they crowded around the viewing platform, Emily began telling them about Jessica, not about the tragedy, but about the way she believed in listening to animals, the patience she showed, the love she gave without expecting anything back. The children leaned in, their eyes wide. Then, as if on cue, Kai surfaced beside them, lifting his head from the water with a slow, graceful movement. He let out that same low, rumbling whistle. The children gasped, some swearing they could feel it in their chests. Emily smiled through tears. That, she said softly, was Jess's hello. From then on, the whistle became a part of the center's quiet tradition. Trainers didn't use it for shows or tricks, it belonged to Jessica and Kai. And though she was gone, her influence shaped everything. The high-pressure stunts disappeared from the program. The center shifted to focus on education and connection, not spectacle. Late one evening, when the park was empty, Emily stayed behind, sitting at the pool's edge as the moonlight danced on the water. Kai rose silently beside her, resting his great head on the ledge. For a moment, she could almost see Jess sitting there instead, her hand brushing the water, her eyes lit with that unshakable kindness. The world had lost Jessica Radcliffe far too soon, but her life was more than its final moment. She had given Kai a reason to trust, the children a reason to care, and everyone who heard her story a reason to believe that love can bridge the widest oceans. And maybe, somewhere out in the deep, where the water is endless and the horizon meets the sky, Jessica still swims beside Kai, free, fearless, and forever home.